Hi everyone, it's David Burkett here from Working Mouse. Thank you for watching this video. What we're going to do today is talk about how to budget for an agile software development project. Now, why are we talking about this? It's often a big disconnect between an agile delivery method and traditional procurement practices. From our experience, the business wants to know what the budget of a software development project is, but Agile development is completely in contradiction to that. The Agile Manifesto actually says that the budget is realized at the end of the project. So, how do we understand and portray as a product owner to the business how much effort is going to be required up front? Well, we've been working on this for some years. So, our solution comes in three different phases. So, the first phase is a scientific and risk-based estimation method to approximate the amount of effort required to get the product built. The second one is making sure the project is set up for success with success trade-offs. The last one is to comprehend the technology advantage. So what I'm going to do today is really briefly, and I'll try and keep it short, take you through these three different things and how we apply them. So the first one is the technology advantage. Now, Working Mouse uses something called the Cobots technology set. Now, it's a software development platform as a service that writes on average about 92% of an application's code base. Now, what the bots do are they're trained on different software behaviors. A behavior is a software development pattern that is applied across multiple domains. So think dashboards, timelines, forms, everything that goes into a piece of software, it's just about how it's actually applied. So the first step and the first thing we do is we identify how the technology is going to help us. We do this something called a field trials behavior. So I'm going to flick over and give you an example of this now. Now, if we have a backlog of requirements, we may have a legacy application. Over here on the left, I have a prototype application of a bike sharing app. As you can see here, I've got bikes with geolocations, history, and I have the ability to go in and rent one of these bikes. So what we've done is we've done up this prototype, and we've then gone and identified and broken down different sections of the application that may be used within a behavior. So login, payment gateway, view, filter, FAQ page, history, all that kind of stuff. Once we have that, we then apply it to what we call our traceability matrix. And our traceability matrix shows us how Cobots is actually going to help us in regards to that segment. So for example here, login and sign up, all the way over here, is completely covered by our user behavior. However, the payment gateway is partially covered by CRUD. Ride history is completely covered, and this then gives us some really cool statistics before we go into our estimation process of how the technology is going to help us. I'll flick over to my stats here, and we can see here that out of the different segments, we've got 45% of those are fully covered by a Cobots behavior, 36% are partially covered and will need heavy customization, and 18% just aren't going to be covered, so they're going to need to be custom coded into the target application. Right, so we know how Cobots is going to help us. What we can do now is talk about the key project success sliders. So the key project success sliders have three different options. The first one is a fixed time, fixed scope approach. We strongly recommend against this because this is super high risk. This is what leads to big project blowouts and legal agreements fall into pieces, and also a very poor outcome for the customer. So it's a high risk. The next one, and this is our preference, is a fixed time variable scope approach. What that means is we'll put a budget in place for the project, and we will vary the scope back with our software development team and you, the product owner, to make sure that you get all of your must-haves, the majority of your should-haves, and some of your could-haves delivered into the project. And this also enables us to vary the scope back to get the best people software fit for the project. The last one is a variable time fixed scope approach. This is right, we need all of these requirements in there, the business must have them, nothing can be left out, so we'll take a fixed scope approach. This has a medium risk. The reason for this is that you don't get to vary the scope in regards to getting what is right for the customer in there. So we would definitely recommend the fixed time variable scope approach. If you're after more information on that, check out our way of working. So how do we approximate the amount of effort? What goes into it? So we have our estimations process. This looks at risk planning and then has a couple of different factors that we've learnt to put into our time to make sure that we're getting the best product out there. So let's take a look at this. So first up, we have our backlog of requirements. Now what I've done is I've just taken the backlog of the segments and I've got the milestones for the project in regards to how we would deliver them logically. And then I take my software development experts, our CTO Matt Francis and one of our user experience designers Nicola, and they've gone through and given me a time estimate, a complexity estimate and a familiarity estimate on the project. This then gives us a time estimate for a project team to deliver each one of these segments and a risk score. The risk score of the project comes from 1 to 25 based on 1 to 5 on complexity and 1 to 5 on familiarity. The time estimates have a Fibonacci-esque escalation because the further we're looking into time, the larger those time estimates are going to get. So they start out at 1 hour and go all the way up to 3 months and have a larger risk. Once we've done this, what we can then do is look at our summary. So Matt and Nicola have gone through and estimated this. From our estimations, we can see that the actual work that we think it's going to take is about 5.89 weeks. We then have, and that's including something called the allocation factor. The allocation factor is 20% of the working week is not working on the project. It is working on the daily stuff, attending track meetings, professional development, having lunch, those kind of things that humans need to do. The next one is trim the tail. That's a factor of 25%. And what that's saying is for 25% of the time, we shouldn't be creating new requirements. We should actually be linking up and rounding out the ones we've already made to deliver a really quality project to the production environment. And the last one is a budget. It is tech spikes. Tech spikes allow us to call tech spike from our tech spike budget, which is 10%, which enables the team to stop the project, go in and further de-risk it before they're continuing on. This stops blowouts ahead of time and de-risks iterations massively. Add all three of those up, we get to 8.1 weeks. So from our prototype here, we know how Cobots is going to help us to inform our estimations, and it's delivered our requirements backlog there. So in summary, we've got 8.1 weeks with a fixed time variable scope approach, and we have 45% of the application covered off by our Cobots technology. If you're after any more information on any of this, please feel free to reach out. This is a very quick summary of how we approach it, and there's a lot more detail to it. Thank you for watching. I'm David Burkett. Have a great day.